That's right, everybody. Welcome back to Bucket of Chum, and this is the beginning of year 3, so thank you so much for joining me. That's right, 3 years of Bucket of Chum. Can you fucking believe it? I actually can't. Yeah, I'm really excited. This year is going to be a big year. It's the year of Jaws, so we're going to do a whole bunch of Jaws shit for all of 2025. And this month over on Patreon, we are going to be taking a look at Orca, the killer whale, which was one of the earliest movies to come out of the whole trying to copy Jaws phase, in the 70s, early 80s. So yeah, we're going to be covering that one first. And every month, whether it's an episode on Patreon or the main feed, we're going to be talking something Jaws related. But this month, of course, we are doing Attack of the Sequels, just like we did last year. So for the third year, I'm going back and I'm doing the sequels to all of those other movies again. So up first, we have Five-Headed Shark Attack from 2017, directed by Nico de Leon. Now, I know what you're thinking, Steve. You did Two-Headed Shark Attack, then you did Three-Headed Shark Attack. What's going on with doing Five-Headed Shark Attack? Well, there is no Four-Headed Shark Attack, guys. They just skipped right over 4. But we'll see why in a little bit here. But if this is your first time here, thank you for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, that would really help. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, if you could maybe leave a 5-star rating or review, something like that, that would really help the show out. I really appreciate it. And if you want to take it a step further and support the podcast even more, go to patreon.com/bucketofchum. So we're going to get right into the Letterboxd plot synopsis. You can't survive the 5. A beautiful island is home to thousands of species of aquatic life. Now there is a new species. The five-headed shark is all heads and teeth. Shaped like a demented starfish, this monster terrorizes the open ocean before invading the beaches of Puerto Rico, endangering the once peaceful island paradise. I somehow glanced over the demented starfish description, which they do kind of say in the movie at some point, but I didn't clock that when I was reading the Letterboxd plot synopsis the first time. But that's awesome. It's not totally accurate, but I mean close enough, I guess. It has an average rating of 1.8 stars on Letterboxd, which as always, that's par for the course with these SyFy / Asylum productions. But sometimes I like them a little bit more, so I might give this a little bit higher rating. Now, for poster expectations, I have seen this movie before, probably back in 2017 when it came out, but I didn't remember much before rewatching this. But I mean, based off the last 2 movies, it's sci-fi, it's the Asylum. We're gonna get bad CGI sharks, maybe some bikini babes and buff dudes. I mean, honestly, we should have, the basic building blocks for at least a watchable movie, which is great. I'm clamoring for a watchable movie right now. I do remember in Two-Headed Shark Attack, they did have, a couple of practical effects, if I remember correctly. This one, the spoiler alert, doesn't. I mean, I would hope that it would, but... And I mean, based off your expectations looking at this poster, you're like, yeah, there's no way there's a, practical five-headed shark, and there's not. That sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. Well, there's nothing else left to do other than to see how good this shark's head game is, and let's dive in. So we start off on a boat with a bunch of bikini babes and this douchey photographer dude just snapping photos of them this whole time, and he's just like, oh yeah, work it, baby. There's 3 or 4 women there. I think there's 3 maybe. And I don't think any of them have ever modeled before, or this dude's never seen a photographer before. It's all awful, but it's exactly what we come to expect from SyFy Channel. So, I mean, so far it's just on par with everything we expect. Fantastic. And then in the water, there's a couple who are swimming as well, and then they come onto the boat. I don't know, who the fuck cares? And then the people on the back of the boat, the photographer and the models, they notice a shark fin in the water. And before that, we can see the five-headed shark attack this great white shark, and it just eats it, and there's blood in the water. And again, terrible CGI. I'm pretty sure they just used the CG models from Three-Headed Shark Attack and then just added 1 more head. That's another thing. So far, it only has 4 fucking heads. There is no five-headed shark yet, which is why this movie is called Five-Headed Shark Attack. And we'll get more into that later. It's gonna frustrate me now. But yeah, the shark basically just jumps on the back of the boat, and 1 head each grabs a... I guess it's supposed to look like each head is going after 1 person, but it's just kind of a garbled mess. But yeah, it just goes up on the boat, eats them, and then, they are dead. But I will say, I actually don't hate the shark design in this movie. Like, the shark is at least a little bit gnarly and scary looking. But I will say the shot that they used of the shark before, like just the single great white shark, it's some fucking stock footage I see in almost every goddamn movie. If there's any animators out there, could you make some other, like, just cheap shark footage that these filmmakers could buy so they can reuse that for a while? I'm getting tired of seeing this one. I mean, maybe we could just get a couple of new shots every couple of years or something. Every 5 years I'd settle for, really. I mean, that's not really asking much, but good God. So the police go and investigate the boat after this attack has happened, and they're like, oh, maybe they're diving. And I'm like, yeah, there's no dive flag or anything, but sure, maybe that's the fucking answer. Useless cops. But anyways, they finally find the photographer's camera, and of course there's like all these like nice shots of the models and everything, and then there's a couple of shots of the shark as it's coming up to attack them, but they're blurry as fuck, as if this thing is Bigfoot. So then we go to what I thought was a classroom, but I think we're at an aquarium, and so there's like this lead marine biologist who, again, I don't know if these are like interns or college students or whatever, but she's there with a bunch of these younger kids, and they're dissecting a fish and pulling all the plastic out. And like, oh my God, humans are terrible. And I'm like, yeah, we know. And I'm pretty sure, I think it was the last one, they were like, yeah, the giant plastic patch is responsible for these multi-headed sharks. They don't necessarily say that in this movie. They don't even really go into it that much. I feel like this movie has like even less of a message than any of the other two movies, which is saying a lot because those other two really didn't have much. I mean, I will say Three-Headed Shark had, I don't know, something going for it at least. But yeah, so far this one is just like, yeah, people bad, here's a multi-headed shark, and, you know, some stuff happens. And at one point they joke about like, well, why don't we just make edible plastic? And I'm like, well, that probably would be a fucking option, but, you know, big plastic, as we know from Shark Huntress, just wouldn't allow such a thing like that to happen. You know, because, I don't know, industry bad, something. But this actually would have been a better kind of plot point to put into Shark Hunters. Like, yeah, my mom wanted to make or maybe that was the plot point. I actually don't really remember, because I just remember it being awful and there was no shark. So, yeah, don't worry, it's going to show up on C6 Cinema. We'll talk about it again at some point, but I don't know who exactly I'm going to subject to that just yet. So anyways, the cops go and visit this doctor lady, marine biologist. Her name is Dr. Yost, Angie Yost. What a weird name. So they ask her some questions about sharks in general and whatnot, and she says that like Puerto Rico's not really known for shark attacks, which I did look up, and it is true. She did say something that no one's died since 1924 due to a shark attack. I don't know how accurate that is per se, but I mean, for the most part, there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of shark attacks in the area and not a whole lot of deaths. So I will say they actually, you know, this part is maybe somewhat accurate. Fuck me. And so the cops show her like the blurry pics of the photo of this multi-headed shark and like, oh yeah, we think it's a great white. You think a great white? Because all you see are like 5 fucking shark heads, and like what are you going? I don't know. But Angie makes a joke about this, like, oh, multi-headed sharks, like, what's next? Sharks and tornadoes? Oh, a little tongue-in-cheek there, because the SyFy and Asylum did Sharknado. But then the cops are like, is this at least possible? Because we've had multiple reports of, like, these multi-headed sharks attacking people or something. And then Yost even at some point says that, like, oh, yeah, there's been 2-headed, even 3-headed sharks, but 4? That's crazy. And I'm like, really? Like, in real life, in real world, 2-headed sharks do exist, but they don't tend to live for very long. It's just a mutation, and, like, they don't tend to survive. So, like, yes, it is possible, but, like, in this world, I have to imagine that 2-headed shark attack and 3-headed shark attack are, like, canon to this universe. So has, like, nobody in those two movies, like, reported this? Because, I mean, there were survivors at the end of both of those movies. So, I don't know. You think that she would have at least heard about, you know, like 2-headed and 3-headed giant sharks surviving out there. But I don't know. Maybe she's just not a very good doctor. Maybe she sucks at her job. I don't know. I mean, she might also not put that much effort into it because her boss is kind of a dick. And he's the one who, like, brought her in with the police because the police were like, oh, we need an expert. He's like, go talk to her. And then he tries to, like, and speaking of the boss, his name is Thaddeus Marshall. Thaddeus Marshall is a giant twat, but spoilers alert, he dies. But he basically tries to brush this whole thing off like, this is crazy. We're not even going to entertain this because there's just no way that would happen. And then we cut to like fucking the next day, and he and Angie are with the students or interns, fucking who knows, co-eds on this boat. And he's like, yeah, we're going to go after this five-headed shark that's killing everybody. And they're like, what? We didn't think it was real. And he's like, yeah, but it's going to be worth millions. And, like, we can study it. And, like, all the stuff we have in the aquarium kind of sucks. So we need something new. And it's like, okay. And, like, why don't you just... it's just... It's like, it's Jaws 3, basically. We're basically doing Jaws 3. Not as well, though. Although I guess that's up for debate. A lot of people hate Jaws 3. They might like this movie better. I don't know. But then the fucking Marshall, Thaddeus, tries to sell this thing like it's going to be a giant educational expedition or whatever. So they want to capture this thing alive and then keep it in their aquarium to sell tickets and whatnot. I'm like, just judging by like the scale of the pictures you've seen, like, do you even have the facilities to handle this thing? Because it's not like a regular size great white shark just has like more heads on it. Like this thing is a whole other fucking monster. So, like, I don't really know what his plan is. But it is very illegal because he did tell the cops, like, yeah, no, this isn't possible. I don't know anything about this. I'm like, you're going to jail. If you catch this thing, you're probably going to jail because the police are going to be like, hey, did you not just interfere with the police investigation or lie to us, like obstruction of justice, maybe? I don't know. That's just crazy talk. But he does give the students the option of not going, but if they leave the boat, then, like, they don't have a job or internship or whatever the fuck they're doing there. And none of them walk off the boat. All of them are just like, oh, well, I guess our hands are tied. And even Angie, like, her job is being threatened too, so that's why she's there. But I'm just like, do none of you people have fucking integrity? Like, any of you. There's like 6 of you besides him, and all of you are just like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go along with it. Ugh, idiots. Like, not one person. I would be like, no, go fuck yourself. I'm like, I'm not putting my life in danger for you because of a job. Like, eat a dick. And then, surprise, surprise, guess what happens? One of the guys ends up dying. And who is it? It's the black guy, of course. Fucking Thaddeus Marshall, you piece of shit. Yeah, so, like, one of the students is, like, standing too close to the edge of the boat, obviously, as they always do. And they're, like, chumming the water, trying to get this thing's attention. They're trying to, like, put cameras in the water to try and find it, and they're totally fucking unprepared for this. But surprisingly, Thaddeus actually radios this in and then takes them all to the dock, and they talk to the police and whatnot, which I honestly just thought he would try to cover it up. But he still wants to go back out there. He tells Angie, he's like, yeah, no, the show must go on. So, yeah, we're going to go back out there at some point. Oh, my God, like... And again, he reiterates that, like, this thing is worth millions. So, awesome. And then we go back to the school, and then Thaddeus and Yost are with the students, and then he is still trying to convince all of them to go back out and say, like, this is what Sean would have wanted. Sean's the one who died. And they're like, yeah, this is what he would have wanted. I think he would be happy, about the scientific exploration of this. Oh, my God. Oh, and then he even offers, like, oh, yeah, we can even name it after Sean. After we discover this and capture, we can name it after him. This thing that fucking murdered him. Oh, cool. What? Yeah, sure. Sign me up. So then they go and meet this fisherman named Red. Don't worry, guys. He's going to give us the backstory on why he has that name later on. Because I know as soon as I said it, you guys were like, whoa, why is that his name? And no, he's not a redhead. So, like, we'll get to it. Then Angie and Red used to boink at some point. That's heavily implied there. She's basically enlisting him to go and track this thing down and kill it because this is what he does. But then they start to inform him. It's like, oh, yeah, no, it's actually got like 5 or 4 heads or something. So, yeah, we got to deal with that. And then he's like, oh, yeah, well, that's going to cost a lot. But, of course, Thaddeus is fine. He's just, like, throwing money at this wherever he can. And then, of course, tells him, like, oh, yeah, we're not just killing this thing, by the way. We are taking this back alive. And then Red says, well, that's going to be a whole other bucket of chum. And then Marshall makes sure to be clear that, like, this is on the hush-hush, obviously, because it's probably very illegal what they're doing. And, he'll pay double, all that bullshit. So their basic plan is they're going to use sonar to try and find this. So they're like, well, if it's big enough, it should show up on sonar. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of fishermen use fucking sonar for fishing. People who go fishing in lakes use sonar sometimes for fucking fishing. Like, what are you talking about? And then for a bit, we just go to this other random team of scuba divers in the water who are like researching coral and whatnot. So we just see like a bunch of dead coral and plastic everywhere. And I swear I have seen this stock footage before. I cannot put my finger on it, but I swear I fucking seen it before. And then we get this one woman who comes on the radio, says like, oh, I'm going around here to go look at this. And all the guys are like, well, be careful. Don't do that, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I've been diving forever. I know how to be careful. And then the shark comes up from behind her and eats her. Just randomly. That's all there is to the scene. Doesn't add anything, but it's there. And it's a little funny. It is kind of funny. They do play it out a little bit longer than I described, but like, it was all right. But I mean, why they were even diving down there? Like, they knew that there had been reports of this thing out there, and they're just like, well, we're just gonna go have a look anyways. But anyways, we go back to Red's boat, and then he tells Yost, like, he'd rather just kill this thing, but, like, Yost is a marine biologist, so she wants to study it, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, listen, 99% of the time, I'm like, yes, we should study things, not be killing things, but, like, in this movie universe, like, this thing is jumping onto boats and killing people for, like, no reason, which is not, like, typical behavior. So, I mean, maybe we don't need to observe this. Maybe not from such a small boat. And then we see a bunch of people on a tour boat, and they're looking for manatees. The tour guide tells them to, like, look out for the manatees over here, but then they spot a humpback whale, which, of course, gets eaten by the shark and freaks out all the fucking tourists. So they start losing their shit. Everyone is, like, taking photos of this while this, like, four-headed shark just comes roaring towards them. Yeah, the shark roars in this movie, too. Because I guess ever since that was introduced in Jaws 4, we need to have a roaring fucking shark all the time. All the time. The tour guide radios in what just happened, but the shark is, like, heading towards them, and the police tell them to just meet them at the dock. And they make it back to the dock just fine. So there, like, wasn't really much danger here. And somehow this little tiny tourist boat, which is, like, smaller than any boat and cannot be as fast as any of these other ones, just gets away fine. It's like not a problem. But leading up to them getting back to the dock, everyone on Red's boat hears this radio call, so like, oh, we gotta go help them out. And then the shark is chasing down the boat, and again, why it hasn't just taken this boat out, I have no idea. Yost sees the boat being attacked and is like, I already lost Sean, we need to go back. And I'm like, okay, but you see this shark chasing down all of these other people. So, like, are you not here to help people? And also, you already fucking agreed to go back out there. You can step away at any time from this. There is absolutely no reason other than your job, which, I mean, I'm sorry. Life, death over job, like, fuck you. Like, you could walk away at any point. You're just like, oh, no, I gotta study it. And my boss said so. Your boss is a male chauvinistic twat. Just walk away. Good God. But then even after the boat makes it back to the marina and the docks and all that, the shark comes right up to the dock, grabs one of the cops off, and then the other two cops that we've kind of been following throughout the movie as well just start shooting into the water at it as if that's going to do anything. And then it just starts heading for Red's boat because it's like, well, plot, we got to head back to our other characters because there's nowhere else in the ocean this thing could possibly be heading. And so they keep an eye on it, but then it just disappears, so they keep looking. We see it swimming underneath as the cops yell for them to get out of the water. And then the shark eventually comes up and grabs one of the students and, like, mows down on her in the water. But Red manages to shoot it with a spear that has, like, a sonar thing on it, so now they can track it. Wowee. I'm like, why do you need to do this? Apparently it just comes wherever you guys need it to, so why do you even need to track it? Just go in the water and it's like, oh, well, it's coming to us. And then now I know what you're thinking. You're like, Steve, this has to be like fucking halfway through the movie. And it about is. We are about halfway through this movie, tracking this four-headed shark in this movie called Five-Headed Shark Attack. So it randomly grows a fifth head. Yeah, the fifth head just grows out of the tail. The tail just turns into a head. You didn't miss anything. I didn't miss explaining anything. It's just now this shark has 5 heads, but one of those heads is the tail, more or less, because it's still facing backwards. Which, I mean, would really fuck up its gills, probably, because just be drowning probably. Yeah, so I don't understand what the logic is here. Like, unless there was a scene missing where like this tail got cut off and then the head grew out of it, but I don't remember actually seeing that. Like, it feels like it's like, oh, this thing happened, it got shot with sonar, and it's like, yeah, well, now I have another head. Listen, I'm all for ridiculous bullshit, but like, first of all, don't call your movie Five-Headed Shark Attack and then show me four-headed shark for 45 fucking minutes of the movie. But yeah, we finally have a five-headed shark. That's the whole fucking point of that rant. Anyways, later at the police station, the police officer says like, well, nothing can survive a harpoon shot in the heart, so we're all good, right? I guess the shark's dead. We can open the beaches. Fucking what? So there's no body, but you heard he got shot with a harpoon, and you're like, well, nothing can survive getting shot with a harpoon. Useless. Close the goddamn beaches. My God. And then Red and Yost both say, like, unless they see a carcass, they doubt it's dead. Probably the smartest thing either of them have said, like, all movie. And then the cop says, well, people are here for work and vacation, so that's that. Oh my God. People can't work and vacation if they're fucking dead. I don't know, that's a pretty basic fact, I thought, but apparently not. And then even Marshall's like, yeah, you know what? Let's just take a week or two off, see how it goes. You were all gung-ho on finding this thing, and now you're just like, let's take a step back, see if it's out there or not, and then, I don't know. Complete nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. And then we get this MTV-style show where the host is telling us that, like, oh, the dangerous shark that's been attacking everyone is dead. And then, like, oh, check out this musician dude. Blah. And then, of course, the shark comes up into the beach area and just starts slaughtering everybody in the water as the cameras are rolling. So, yeah, it's not dead. And this takes place, like, immediately or at the same time as the police station conversation. So, like, not even, like, a day has passed or anything. It's like, no, it's been like 30 minutes. So we go back to the police station, and then someone comes running in and says, oh, there was another attack. 16 people are dead and 5 are injured. Or sorry, 16 people were injured and 5 people are dead. And I'm like, well, that would have been kind of cool to see, but fuck me, I guess. Because all we saw was like one surfer get taken out of the water, and then like, that's it. But apparently there's like 16 people and 5 people dead. Like, what the fuck? So then we got to come up with a whole new plan to get this fucking shark dead or whatever. So Yost shows them this video of dolphins like poking sharks with their noses and like making high-pitched squeaks. And they're like, yeah, we're going to use dolphin noises to deter the shark from places and then blow it up, basically. Pure and simple. So after like a half-assed speech and plan, they all heroically head to the boats to like fortify their plan a bit more. So again, we've already talked about the plan and now we're talking about it again. Like, just do the plan. I don't need more of this. Stop stretching out this fucking runtime. It's already an hour and a half. You could probably take another 5 minutes out of this. Granted, I know it's for TV, so they gotta fill time, but like, I feel like we could have filled this time with other fun stuff. But then we see the five-headed shark eat another shark again, just in case we forgot this thing is like a cannibal or evil. And it's also like, oh, hey, remember earlier when we showed you the shot of this shark eating another shark? Wouldn't it be cool to see that again? Nope, but we got it anyways, so there we go. They got their money's worth. And by this point now, Marshall has finally come around and is like, okay, we should probably kill this thing and not try and save it or whatever. Wow, congratulations, dumbass. And then Red and one of the students, again, I don't know if they're students, I don't know what they are, but she's chatting with Red about losing friends and shark attacks. And, like, I don't know if it's her acting or the writing here, but it is awful. Like, the whole time she's going on, I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about because this is so bad. It's just, I'm not interested. Don't care. It could be both. I don't know. Maybe acting isn't in her wheelhouse, or maybe the writing was just so bad she's like, I don't know what to do with this. Could be. I don't know. And then we see the cops start laying out this speaker trail. So they're laying out a trail of speakers to get the sharks to go in the direction that they want them to. Oh my God, how many times have I fucking described this plot? Honestly, how many times? Good God. Like, even Sand Sharks did it, but I mean, that was a little bit more entertaining. You know, Sand Sharks, I mean, come on. But again, we really don't need this plan at all, because you guys could just, like, go to where you need the shark to go, and it'll just be there, because that's what it's been doing this entire movie. I don't know why we're thinking this thing is being so elusive or whatever. But anyways, Yost lays out another speaker, and as they turn it on, the shark is deterred away from the boat. But the cops notice it's not going where they need it to. It's like basically heading the opposite direction. So they're going to try and redirect it. Again, all so very unnecessary. Red sets some depth charges, or he gets them ready while everybody else is basically just chumming the water like crazy. And then we go back with the cops, and it's like the shark is just like chilling under the boat, like it's not really moving. I don't know what it's doing there. And I guess because of that, they can't really see it on sonar. I don't exactly know what was happening here because, like, it seems like they could see it every once in a while, but then, like, they couldn't, but because it's under the boat. But then we see shots of it swimming. Again, no idea what's happening. And are they also trying to imply that this shark is, like, somewhat smart to, like, get away from the sonar signals now? Like, I don't know. I feel like this shark could just, like, nudge the bottom of this boat, tip it over, and we're basically done. Because we saw earlier there's a scene where it tips over, like, a lobster boat or something like that, and it just did it no problem. So I'm just like, well, this boat's smaller than that. Could you not just, like, okay, problem solved? I don't know, maybe it's smart, but not that smart? I don't know. But what the shark does do is he does nudge the boat just a little tiny bit because the female cop who is standing on the edge falls into the water then, and then he gets some little nibbles in. We even see the tail shark head come around, and get a little piece, get a little nibble in there. This thing is so ridiculous. Every time it's swimming through the water, it is just whipping this head back and forth everywhere. Like, there's just no way this thing can see straight or accomplish anything. Like, it's just fucking nonsense. So the dude cop drives away to get the fuck out of there, and then he radios Red, who then drops some, like, depth charges or whatever. And again, we hear a lot more shark roar towards the end here. It's more than I remember it being, so I'm wondering if, like, the first time I watched this, I tuned it out, because I honestly don't remember there being that much shark roar in this movie. The shark knocks the propellers off the cop's boat and then fucks off for a bit, and then Red says, "Hey, get the shark to come to us." "And how would you like this gentleman to accomplish said act, sir? He has no propellers. How is he supposed to lure the shark to you? Maybe you, with the working boat, could do something to get the shark to come to you? The ones with the chum and everything?" I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But I guess this cop also has some depth charges, which he has now decided to use, which he didn't use earlier for some reason. I feel like this would have been easier when it was chasing you before, tossing one of them out. Again, maybe I'm the stupid one here. I'm the dumb one. I'm the dumb one here. And then he also puts one of the speakers in, or turns the speakers on, I guess, and then it allows the shark to go to Red's boat where the plot needs it to be. And so Red and the crew start getting ready for the shark, but then, like, the harpoon with the sonar ping gets knocked off or something. So now they don't know where it is. But I'm confused by this because later on we do get the signal back, but we clearly saw this thing getting knocked off, and then all of the subsequent CGI shots of the shark don't have this thing on it. So are we tracking it with regular sonar, or are you using the harpoon? Or did you guys forget that you knocked the harpoon off and just wrote the rest of the script with it like it was there the whole time? I really don't know. Oh, but now this is the time where Red tells us his backstory on how he got his name, because we're all really interested in that at this particular moment in time. So someone says, I think it was Marshall, like, "Why do they call you Red?" And then one of the students is like, "Yeah, why do they call you that?" As if this is like some weird revelation or some shit. Like, he has a little bit of graying hair. Maybe he had red hair back in the day. How the fuck are we supposed to know? And why does it matter? It doesn't, but we're going to find out. So apparently he was spearfishing or scuba fishing, some shit, I don't know what. He got attacked by a shark, and then he started stabbing it. Like, he was attacked by a hammerhead. Which I'm like, okay, why are you making it a hammerhead? They're generally not known to be, like, super aggressive by any means. So, like, why are we using this as an example? But anyways, he just says he was stabbing it. And then when he got back to the boat, his scalp was hanging off his head. And he was just, like, full of wounds and bleeding everywhere. So apparently the crew were just like, "Hey, what's up, Red?" I'm sorry, a man's scalp is hanging off of his fucking head, and everyone's just like, look at this guy, look at Red here. Yeah, he probably needs an ambulance. Good God. Somebody get a fucking sewing kit or something and sew that thing back on. Oh, and he's been wearing this giant shark tooth necklace the whole time, and he's like, yeah, but in the end, I won. Wow. Woo, good for you. No one cares. You're not fucking Quint. Stop trying to be. And then this is where the sonar thing starts moving again. So I guess it's still attached to it, but we can't see it. Or there's a witch performing black magic allowing this to happen. Those are my only theories right now. So the shark ends up finally taking the dynamite bait they laid out. They set it off. The shark explodes. Meat chunks go flying, and then the water turns red. They all start celebrating. But then Angie sees a fin in the water. It's because it wasn't the right shark, guys. But it's really hard to tell because the footage is so like shaky and dumb and whatnot. It is kind of obvious that like they didn't get the shark, but it's not at the same time because the footage they use, they don't really show the heads that much, but you can't also really see that it's just one head. I don't know. It's just very confusing and not very well done. It's like they took footage of the 5-headed shark and then just didn't show the head part, so we didn't know that that's what it was. But yeah, that's all I have. I have no idea what else can explain this, unless it did blow up and it regenerated, but I don't think that's what happened here. I don't think we're at that point in this franchise yet. So then the shark takes out the propellers in the exact same footage that we saw when it took out the propellers of the other boat. So yeah, we got to see that twice. Oh, woo-wee. So yeah, they're sitting ducks now, and then Red radios the police, and the dude says like, "Oh, hang in there." They're like, "Yeah, hang in there." Like, okay, why are we doing this? Like, why? What is this? Show me more bikini babes. Like, give me more of that, because this dumb conversation nonsense is bothering me. Good God. And then the shark rams the boat, and the last like sexy co-ed is thrown into the water, and then the other last student dude. I think there's only one student left. I think there was only 3 or 4 of them. I honestly can't remember. It really doesn't matter. But he jumps in and helps her, and then like he's swimming behind her because she's already like on her way back to the boat. So he really didn't need to do this at all because they both make it back onto the boat just fine. So completely unnecessary for him to do any of this. And again, I feel like I've described this exact scene several fucking times. There's like people who throw themselves in to sacrifice themselves, which are completely pointless and accomplishes nothing. Doesn't even build any tension for me. I'm just like, okay, well, they're going to die. And it's like, oh, well, they didn't. Also, they apparently can swim faster than this 5-headed shark because it was like 4 fucking feet behind them. And somehow they're just like, well, yeah, we're back on the boat now. Very good. And when they get back on the boat, Marshall hits it with a spear or harpoon or something that's attached to a rope, and he starts celebrating. He's like, yeah, I killed that freaking shark, man. I got it right in the heart. I'm like, okay, so it's still swimming away. You hit it once, one time, with a harpoon or a spear or something, which wasn't even very big, and you're like, yep, it's dead. And like, not even minutes after, I'm talking like 2 seconds, like it hits the shark and it's like, it's dead. No, it takes a little bit longer for that to happen if you even did a deadly shot. Spoiler alerts, he didn't, because the rope ends up wrapping around his leg and he gets pulled into the fucking water and then just torn apart by this shark. Fuck yes, this was glorious. I was so happy when he died, and this was pretty funny too, because he basically died by his own stupidity, which is just perfect. So thank you, Asylum, for that. I did really enjoy this moment. Police dude on the other boat finally radios in a helicopter. Apparently this has been an option the whole time, but we didn't do it until now for whatever reason. It's like, oh yeah, we need to, I don't know. I'm running out of theories. And I'm running out of ideas to make this guy look good, but I think they're all just dumb. They're all just really dumb people, and we're just going to have to accept that. We're going to have to live with that. But yeah. Anyways, as the helicopter approaches, of course the shark jumps out of the water and pulls this thing down and it explodes. I'd like to think that's a Jaws 2 reference. I mean, I know we see sharks pulling things out of the sky all the time in the Asylum movies, but a helicopter over the water like this, I like to think it's a Jaws 2 reference. And then Red pulls out a box of guns, as one does, and he starts handing out guns to everybody, saying, have you shot a gun before? And the two students, we'll say there's 2 students left, they both shake their head no, and Angie almost gives them like a dirty look, like, you don't know how to shoot a gun? And I'm like, I get this is like technically America, but like, really? Like, what are you doing? So yeah, Red's like, yeah, you rack it, you shoot it. Pff, he fires off a shot, scares the shit out of everybody. And it's like, yeah, then there you go. That's all we do. Yeah, so they just start shooting at the shark in the water. Sorry, the gun stuff happens like right before the helicopter stuff, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. After it goes crashing, the students have seen that the shark is just like sitting on the bottom of the ocean right now with the helicopter. They're like, yeah, there's something big, but it could just be the helicopter. But of course, we see the shark just sitting on top of the helicopter, basically knocked out, I guess. But every time in this movie somebody shoots the shark or it's like mildly inconvenienced, they're like, is it dead? Did we get it? Is it dead? Can you wait 5 fucking minutes? And no, every time you shoot it once doesn't mean it's fucking dead. Like, can we not learn that lesson yet? Good God, like somebody should have taken like a third or second pass at this script and taken some of those lines out, because it is every single time. Like, good God, people. Then after a bit, we finally see the shark come to and start heading towards the surface. And then Red says he's going to kill that son of a bitch. And he grabs a large hook and some depth charges. And then he just goes leaping off of this boat into the water. And he's got this like comedically large hook in his hand. And he hooks the back of this shark fin, and then he's hanging off the back like he's fucking Thomas Jane in Deep Blue Sea. But the CGI is really bad. Like, he is just like a fucking rag doll. This is like 2001, like, first Harry Potter movie CGI bad. Like, the scene where he's in the bathroom fighting the troll, and it's like the fully CGI Harry Potter. And like, back then they were like, this is pretty good, right? And it's like, maybe, but now it's not. It looks awful. And this looks awful too. But again, we're not expecting much here. So it's pretty much on par. Kind of a cool little scene. I mean, it's dumb, but, you know, it's entertaining, which is what I'm here for. And then everybody kind of loses track of where they went, and then they look around, and then boom, there's an explosion of blood and meat. Now they finally killed the shark. Finally. Red's okay, though, somehow. Again, this is like Deep Blue Sea, where like Thomas Jane is in the water during the explosion. It's like, he is dead. He is definitely dead. But no, he gets back on the boat. He's okay. And then asks Yost to marry him. And she's like, oh, well, you're going to have to become a vegan. Oh, because they've been making jokes throughout this movie that like she's vegan and like her and him are so different. Like, who the fuck cares? But that's it. That's it for Five-Headed Shark Attack. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. The story is none. There is none. There's no story here. It's complete ridiculousness. I will say, after thinking about this a little bit more, it does sound like they kind of borrowed from Jaws 3 and even Jaws 2 a little bit in some, like, just weird ways, which, like, looking back on it now, I'm like, that's actually kind of fun. That's a little bit enjoyable. You know, some of it was atrocious. A lot of eye candy, you know, which is cool. There were some buff dudes and bikini babes, which we like here. We always appreciate that. The effects, they were about the same as Five-Headed Shark, I would say. Maybe not quite as good, but I would have to go back and revisit it. But, you know, it was fine, but they did reuse a lot of shots. So towards the end, where they're fighting the shark and shooting it and whatnot, they do this shot of the shark coming towards the boat, and you can see this island in the background, and they just reuse the shot over and over. No matter what direction this shark is coming from, they reuse that shot. And they just did it so many times, it really started to get on my fucking nerves. Jesus. But I mean, overall, that was a little annoying. I know they need to do this for time and money. And I mean, to a certain degree, I feel like with these movies, they just do it because it's like kind of expected, you know? So it's like, why put in the extra effort to do anything when like this is kind of what people are already expecting? So I get it. I do wish we had more of the five-headed shark in Five-Headed Shark Attack. But again, that fucking head on the tail just flailing around like wildly. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Amazing. I love that. That was so fucking funny to watch. I would watch more of that footage over and over again, other than some of these other shots. But yeah, overall, I had fun. Bikini babes, buff dudes, bad CGI. You know what? I'm feeling generous. I want to start the year off on a little bit more of a positive note, I had 2.5 stars written in my notes. I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do a 3-star. I think that's fair. It's pretty fun. I understand why it has 1.8 on Letterboxd. I get it. But yeah, let's start the year off nice, and yeah, let's give it a big old 3 stars. But that is it for Five-Headed Shark Attack. Next week, we are back with Attack of the Sequels, and oh, I just remembered what movie I'm doing. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm a little bit excited about it. But yeah, it's a sequel to a movie we talked about last year, so you could probably figure it out. You could probably figure out what movies I'm doing this month. They're kind of sequels to, like, maybe what I did last year this time, you know? Maybe it's those ones. I don't know. Maybe. And don't forget, over on Patreon, we're going to be doing Orca, the killer whale, this month. So yeah, be sure to check that out. And as I said before, if you like this show and you want to support me, leave a like, comment, whatever, you know, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. Anyways, I've been your host, Captain Steve, and I'll see you guys next time for even more Bucket of Chum, baby.